Kwame stood at the edge of the ancient river, its waters shimmering under the glow of the crescent moon. The weight of his choice pressed down on him like a heavy cloak. He stared into the depths, the cool breeze whispering secrets he couldn't quite grasp. Behind him, the village lay still, its thatched roofs silhouetted against the night sky. This was his home, rich in tradition and steeped in ancestral duty. Yet within him burned a conflict that threatened to unravel everything he knew. The river had always been a sacred place, a conduit to the spirits of his ancestors. It was here that they gathered, the echoes of their laughter mingling with the rustling leaves. But tonight, the air was thick with tension and uncertainty. Kwame felt as if the very river was watching him, waiting for him to make a choice that could alter the course of his life. It had all begun a year ago when he first laid eyes on Adjoa. She was unlike anyone he had ever known, free-spirited, full of life, and beautiful beyond compare. Her laughter had the power to lift the burdens from his shoulders, and her eyes sparkled with secrets that made him want to unravel the world with her. They had met during a festival, a celebration of harvest that drew villagers from far and wide. Under the golden glow of lanterns, amidst the drumming and dancing, Kwame felt an immediate connection with Adjoa. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, weaving together their dreams and aspirations. She was a girl of the earth, often found among the market stalls selling fresh produce, her hands stained with the colors of the fruits she tended. As they danced under the stars, he couldn't help but wonder if fate had brought them together. But their love was forbidden. The elders had already chosen Kwame's bride, Adjoa, a woman descended from a long line of priestesses. Marrying Adjoa would secure his family's honor and uphold a sacred pact between their families. Kwame knew he should embrace this tradition, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw Adjoa, her smile lighting up his darkest thoughts. As the days turned into weeks, his heart grew heavy with the weight of his choice. He often found himself standing by the river, trying to summon the courage to confront the feelings that surged within him. Each time he gazed into the water, he imagined his ancestors watching him with disappointment, their stern faces etched into the stones lining the riverbank. One evening, after a long day of labor in the fields, he sought solace by the river. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue across the water. There, as he sat on the bank, he heard a soft voice behind him. "Kwame." He turned to see Adjoa approaching, her silhouette framed by the fading light. His heart raced. "What are you doing here?" he asked, a mix of joy and anxiety filling his voice. "I needed to see you. I've felt your turmoil. You are not alone in this." Adjoa knelt beside him, her fingers tracing the cool water. "You must choose what is right for your heart." Kwame sighed deeply, the sound escaping his lips like a prayer. "How can I, Adjoa? The village expects me to marry Adjoa, my family. They have already made plans." Adjoa turned to him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "And what of your happiness, Kwame? Does your happiness mean nothing?" "It means everything. But tradition holds us captive," he whispered, staring into the depths of the river. "The elders say love outside the ancestral line brings disaster. They say the ancestors will curse anyone who strays from their path. I can't let anything happen to you." Adjoa's gaze hardened with determination. "I refuse to let fear dictate my life. Love should be our guide, not the weight of the past. We can fight for our happiness together." As they sat in silence, the air thick with unspoken words, Kwame felt the heat of her conviction seep into his bones. It ignited a fire within him that he had long suppressed. "I will not let fear control me," he declared, the weight of his decision settling into the very core of his being. "I choose you, Adjoa, no matter the consequences." The following day, the elders summoned Kwame to the shrine. The air was tense with expectation as he approached the sacred space where the ancestral spirits lingered. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, and the sound of the rustling leaves seemed to whisper warnings. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The shrine was adorned with offerings, fresh fruits, flowers, and handmade crafts, all laid out to honor the ancestors. Kwame knelt before the altar, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through him. The chief elder, Nana Owusu, was waiting. His presence commanded respect, and his gaze bore into Kwame like the weight of the universe. "Kwame," he began, his voice deep and resonant, "we have gathered here to discuss your future. You have been chosen to marry Adjoa. It is a union that will bring honor to your family and strengthen our ties with her lineage." Kwame's heart raced. "Nana, I cannot marry Adjoa. My heart belongs to Adjoa." The silence that followed was deafening. The elders exchanged wary glances, their expressions unreadable. "You defy the ancestors," Nana Owusu said, his voice low and solemn. "To stray from tradition is to invite disaster upon yourself and your family." "I understand the traditions," Kwame replied, his voice steady. "But I cannot live a lie. I cannot marry someone I do not love. Adjoa is my heart. She is my destiny." The chief elder's eyes narrowed, and the atmosphere in the shrine shifted, thickening with tension. "Your feelings do not outweigh the ancestral obligations you carry. The gods have chosen Adjoa for you. You must honor their wishes." Kwame felt the ground shift beneath him. He struggled to find the words to express the depth of his conviction. "The ancestors have also taught us to follow our hearts. Love is not a curse. It is a gift." "Enough," Nana Owusu thundered, the words reverberating through the shrine. "You are young, Kwame. You do not understand the consequences of your actions. To defy the ancestors is to defy the very essence of who you are." With that, the elders began to chant, invoking the spirits of their ancestors. The air grew thick with incense, and Kwame felt a chill run down his spine. They were calling upon forces he had never truly believed in. Desperate, he fled the shrine, the echoes of their chants following him like shadows. He ran to the river, where the water flowed serenely, a stark contrast to the chaos within him. That night, a violent storm raged across the village, the skies darkening as lightning split the heavens. Thunder boomed, shaking the ground beneath Kwame's feet. He could feel the ancestors' anger reverberating in the very fabric of the earth. He sought Adjoa one final time, drenched by the pouring rain. They stood in a clearing, surrounded by the oppressive darkness of the storm. The wind howled, and the trees swayed violently, but they stood firm. "Adjoa, I cannot let you go," he cried over the roar of the storm. "I will fight for us no matter what it takes." Adjoa stepped closer, her hands clasping his. "Kwame, if we run away, we will abandon everything. Our families, our village. Is love worth that sacrifice?" Kwame's heart raced. He could feel the storm echoing his inner turmoil, the clash of desire and duty. "I will not live a life dictated by fear or obligation. If the ancestors wish to curse me, let them. I would rather be cursed with you than blessed without you." As the words left his mouth, a bolt of lightning struck nearby, illuminating Adjoa's face, now twisted in fear. The wind whipped around them, and suddenly, Adjoa screamed, collapsing to the ground. "Adjoa!" Kwame shouted, rushing to her side. Panic surged through him as he knelt beside her. "What's happening?" But Adjoa's eyes were glazed, her body growing cold. It was as if the very storm had stolen her warmth. The curse had begun. The wrath of the ancestors was real, and they had taken the one thing Kwame loved most. "Adjoa, please, stay with me," he pleaded, his voice breaking. The rain poured down, mingling with his tears as he cradled her lifeless body. The storm intensified, as if reflecting Kwame's heartache. He felt the ancestors' anger reverberating around him, the air thick with their disapproval. He had defied them, and now he faced the consequences. With trembling hands, he pressed his forehead to Adjoa's, feeling the chill of her skin. "I am sorry. I am so sorry." As dawn broke, the storm subsided, leaving a haunting silence. Kwame sat beside Adjoa's body, a deep emptiness settling in his chest. He could hear the distant sounds of the village awakening, unaware of the tragedy that had unfolded. He knew he had to confront the elders again. There was no escaping the ancestral duty that had bound him from the moment he was born. But he also knew that he could not walk into the shrine empty-handed. He needed to take responsibility, not just for his choices, but for the consequences that had fallen upon Adjoa. He returned to the shrine, the sun rising behind him, casting long shadows as he entered the sacred space once more. The elders were already gathered, their faces solemn. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, their eyes piercing through him. "Nana Owusu," he began, his voice steady. "I have come to accept my fate." The chief elder raised an eyebrow, curiosity flickering in his gaze. "You have chosen wisely, Kwame." "No," he replied, a fire igniting within him. "I have chosen poorly. I have lost Adjoa to my defiance, and I cannot bear this weight. I will take her place among the ancestors." Gasps filled the room, the elders shifting uneasily. "What do you mean?" Nana Owusu demanded. "I will offer myself as a sacrifice," Kwame said, his voice unwavering. "I will make amends for my betrayal. I will appease the ancestors for the loss of my love." The elders fell silent, their expressions a mixture of shock and concern. "Kwame, this is not necessary," Nana Owusu warned. "The ancestors do not seek blood. They seek honor, respect." Kwame shook his head, determination etched across his features. "Then let me prove my commitment. Let me take Adjoa's place in the realm of the ancestors. I cannot live with this burden. I cannot let her death be in vain." The elders exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the air. After what felt like an eternity, Nana Owusu stepped forward, his voice a low rumble. "You are brave, Kwame, but bravery alone cannot bridge the chasm between the living and the dead. We will honor Adjoa's memory, but sacrificing yourself will not bring her back." Kwame's heart sank, desperation clawing at him. "Then what must I do? How can I atone for my choices?" The elder sighed, a deep weariness settling over him. "You must honor your love for Adjoa by living. You must carry her spirit within you, and fight to protect the village from the darkness that comes with such loss. The ancestors have seen your heart, and they will not curse you if you honor their wishes." Kwame nodded slowly, understanding dawning upon him. "I will do whatever it takes to honor her memory." With a solemn ceremony, the elders placed Adjoa's body at the riverbank, where the waters flowed peacefully once more. They called upon the ancestors to welcome her spirit, to guide her home. Kwame stood at the edge of the water, tears streaming down his face as he watched the finality of her departure. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the land, Kwame felt a surge of determination fill him. He would not let her sacrifice be in vain. He would live not only for himself but for Adjoa as well. Her spirit would guide him as he sought to bring honor back to their families. Days turned into weeks, and Kwame poured himself into the village. He worked tirelessly to strengthen the bonds within the community, hosting gatherings and ceremonies to honor both his ancestors and Adjoa's spirit. The more he poured himself into the village, the more he felt Adjoa's presence with him. But as the seasons changed, whispers of unease began to creep through the village. Crops failed, livestock fell ill, and an inexplicable darkness hung in the air. It was as if the ancestors had turned their backs, leaving the village to face the storm alone. Kwame knew he had to act. He gathered the villagers and spoke passionately about the need for unity. "We must honor our ancestors and keep their spirits alive," he declared. "Only then can we weather this storm." As the villagers began to gather, Kwame could feel the spirits of his ancestors swirling around him, their presence urging him forward. Together, they formed a circle by the river, chanting and praying for guidance and strength. But in the depths of his heart, Kwame knew that this darkness was tied to his choices, to the love he had forsaken. The more he fought to protect the village, the more the weight of his decisions pressed down on him. One evening, as he stood by the river, he felt a sudden chill in the air. The waters swirled ominously, and he saw a figure emerge from the depths, Adjoa's spirit. She stood before him, radiant yet ethereal, a ghostly glow surrounding her. "Kwame," she whispered, her voice like the rustling leaves. "You have fought valiantly, but the darkness grows stronger." "Adjoa," he exclaimed, reaching for her. "I need your guidance. I cannot let this village fall." Her eyes shimmered with a mix of sadness and pride. "You must face the darkness within yourself. The ancestors do not curse you. They seek to teach you. You must find a way to heal the rift between your heart and your duty." Kwame felt a deep ache in his chest, her words striking a chord he had long ignored. "But how can I? I've already lost you. How can I honor you while carrying this burden?" "You honor me by living fully," she replied, her voice stronger now. "You must embrace both love and duty. Your heart is not a curse. It is your greatest strength. You must weave your love for me into your actions, not as a sacrifice but as a source of power." As her spirit began to fade, Kwame felt a surge of clarity wash over him. He understood now that his love for Adjoa could coexist with his responsibilities to his family and village. He did not have to choose one over the other. He could honor both. With renewed determination, he returned to the village, his heart ablaze with purpose. He gathered the elders, the villagers, and the families, sharing his vision for unity, love, and respect for their ancestors. "We must come together, not just in sorrow but in celebration of life," he declared, his voice strong and clear. Under the light of the full moon, they hosted a festival, a celebration of life, love, and the bonds that tied them together. As the drums beat and laughter filled the air, Kwame felt the warmth of Adjoa's spirit surrounding him, guiding him as he danced and celebrated with his community. In that moment, he realized that love was not just about possession or sacrifice. It was about connection, about embracing the complexities of life. Adjoa's memory lived on in the hearts of the villagers, reminding them of the power of love and the strength of their ancestors. As the festival continued, Kwame found himself standing by the river once more. The waters glimmered in the moonlight, and he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had learned to embrace his love for Adjoa without letting it consume him. He had found a way to honor both her spirit and his ancestral duty. And in that sacred space, Kwame whispered a promise to the waters. "I will carry your spirit with me, Adjoa. I will live for us both. I will honor our love by fostering a future where our families stand united, guided by the strength of our ancestors." As the moon bathed the river in silver light, Kwame understood that the path ahead would not be easy. But with love in his heart and the strength of his ancestors guiding him, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For in the end, love was not just a choice. It was the very essence of life itself. Enjoyed the story? Hit subscribe, give a like, and drop a comment. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.